I would immediately lose interest. And that was true. But then I saw the poster to the special, and it said that it was Fatal Attraction meets The Blob. And the poster was cool, and I was like, all right, you know what? I'm not going to demonize this guy for something that I feel like was probably out of his control. I feel like that's unfair. I'll give him one more chance. Let's see. Let's see him with like a coherent script maybe, and has actual like say over what he's doing. From what I can see with Death House, that just seems like a catastrophe on all levels. So I saw that he directed this, and I was like, all right, fuck it. I'll give it a chance. Here we go. And so the special, what's the special about? I went into this blind, so I did not know what it had. I didn't know what the hell it was about. And so this guy takes his friend to a whorehouse because he thinks his wife is cheating on him. So he's going to cheer him up, and he thinks he's going to go get him a hooker. And instead, he takes him into this room where they have the special. And essentially, you put your dick in a box. Yeah, like the Lonely Island Justin Timberlake song, Dick in a Box. Pretty much like that. So he puts the dick in the box, and it's the best feeling he's ever had in his entire life. And of course, he becomes obsessive over this, and he ruins his entire fucking life so he can try to fuck that box. And what's in the box? What's in the box? I like this. I like this a decent amount. Now, the main character here. Here's something I found kind of funny. I felt like I was being kind of hypocritical when I was thinking back about things I've said in the past about like the characters unlikable, this and that. But then I kind of praise foreign cinema for having such unlikable protagonists. But I think it's a different kind of unlikable. It's an interesting unlikable. Like the person is an unlikable person, but they're an interesting character, so like I like what I'm watching. Does that make sense? And when the movies that have come out here, this happens a lot in American cinema, they're unlikable because they're uninteresting, because there's nothing that makes me entertained with them. So with this guy, the main protagonist, I guess he's a protagonist? Not really. He's kind of the antagonist of the movie. I guess. So like the main character is essentially the antagonist. He's a piece of shit. He's a terrible person throughout this entire fucking movie. Like I feel no sympathy for this guy at all this entire time. But they never play it like that. They never play it like this guy should be sympathized for, because he clearly shouldn't be. This movie essentially, like when you come right down to it, it's a film about addiction. And it's a parable of drug addiction, really. I mean, it kind of reminds me, not as silly, but something like Brain Damage. That's definitely the film I would compare it the most to. Just kind of how, the main dude gets attached to Aylmer, and he needs that drug, and he like it's destroying his life, but he just can't quit it. He just needs it, and that's what this guy has in this movie. He has an obsession. He has an addiction to putting his dick in this box and having this unbelievable orgasm, unbelievable feeling as he's doing it. Which, yeah, I mean, is that semi-relatable to people, to men, for sure? Yeah, absolutely. If I found some magic mystery box and I put my penis inside of it, and it was like the greatest feeling I've ever felt in my life, 10 times better than sex ever was, it'd be hard not to want to go back to that thing, to not become obsessive with that thing. But what it starts doing to his body would immediately stop me from doing it, no matter how good it felt. At least I believe so. Although, when you felt something that good, you might not care. You might just continue to let it happen. But regardless, the performances in this movie are all fine. They're, it's a lower budget film. The acting is rocky. We'll just say that. Sometimes it's sometimes it's a little better than okay, sometimes it's okay, and sometimes it's not good. And it just kind of ranges and varies. So that's pretty typical with films like this, though, the budgets that they have. So it's funny, when I was watching this, somebody I work with walked in the back, and this is somebody who's like into like highbrow stuff and only watches like high production stuff and Hollywood and whatever. And she was just like, this must be a lower budget movie. And I'm like, yeah, like always, you know what I watch. And she's like, doesn't it bother you that the acting is just not good? And I'm like, honestly, no, not really. As long as the story is engaged and as long as I'm entertained, it doesn't bother me. Like I'm sure if the actors were watching it in this review and I was like, this performance is bad, they would take it personally because that's like, knocking their craft and what they've done. And I've definitely had actors come on here and get bummed out at me because I bashed their performance, which I try never to do unless it's like really, really bad and I have to mention it. But yeah, I mean, stuff like this, it just doesn't bother me. It just doesn't bother me as long as it's not unbelievably horrendous. As long as they're trying and it's at least semi-believable, I'm fine. As long as the film, of course, is entertaining and what I'm seeing on screen is worth my time, then the acting can kind of be rocky and it doesn't bother me at all. So I don't know if you're somebody who's only into like highbrow Toni Collette and Hereditary type shit, then go watch that. This is lower budget stuff, so you kind of know what you're getting yourself into. The practicals in this are good. They're very good. There's a couple sequences where I was like, oh, that looks great. That looks great. There's not a lot of gore. There's not a lot of kills. There's not a lot of that kind of stuff. But, we do see a few things. And they're pretty cool. What's in the box looks pretty cool. All that stuff. So, yeah, this is almost like, it kind of did remind me of Frank Henenlotter's work, where, like, he's carrying around this box, much like, a basket case. And he becomes addicted to this thing, much like brain damage. Such and so forth. So it definitely had airs of Frank Henenlotter's work. But overall, I mean, that concept alone should kind of get you to know what you're getting yourself into. But at the same time, it's a pretty serious film, actually. It's playful here and there, but it's mostly dramatic. It's mostly played serious. And I have to say, I felt terrible for the wife in this movie the entire time. There were so many times, even during her sex scene, she pulls out her tits and everything, and she's a very attractive woman, her tits are amazing and all that. But I couldn't even enjoy it because I was like so bummed out for her. There was just something happening during that. And I legitimately felt sad. Like the whole time I was just like, oh, sweetheart, poor woman. Oh God, poor chick. What an asshole this guy is. This guy is such an asshole. But that's his character, and that's okay, as long as it's entertaining and as long as I want to join him on this journey, which I did. And this is a unique film. I've never seen anything like this. Have I seen, I mentioned things that are similar, but have I ever seen a movie where a guy fucking becomes obsessed with sticking his dick in a mystery box? And no, that's a fairly original concept, But I dug it. I enjoyed it. I think it's worth a watch. Like, if that seems like the kind of movie you're into, obviously. That premise might immediately be like, what? No, don't watch it, obviously. But for what it is, I dug it. I enjoyed it. So this guy has redeemed himself. I will look at Death House now as, a stain on his record and hopefully not something he really had much involvement with outside of, maybe he wanted to go Alan Smithy on the damn thing, have his name taken off of it for all I know. But The Special, man, yeah, kind of came out of nowhere. Didn't even know what the hell it was. Just saw it and was like, I'll give him a chance. And I'm glad I did. So good on him for having this success here after the dreadful display of Death House. He directed something else, Camp Blood, I think is what the poster said, but I have not seen it. Maybe that's the wrong name, but whatever it is, maybe I'll try it. Maybe I'll try something else that he directed, but Death House, void, and The Special is not like super special, but it's kind of special. I dig it. Check it out. Adios.